everybody, I want to make this quick video just to give you an update on where I'm at in life and what's going on, because a lot of people have asked, why did you leave Glastonbury? You were so happy you seem to be so happy in Glastonbury, and suddenly you're in Brighton. What's going on? So I just want to tell you what's been going on. So the backstory is that 3 years ago, I moved from Manchester down to Glastonbury because my relationship ended. And when my relationship ended, I didn't have a lot of options. The thing you've got to realize about me is that I don't really have any roots. I was born in Germany. I grew up there until the age of 8 or 9. So Germany isn't my home, because then we moved to Botswana at 9. I really identified and learned English very quickly. I love the English language, and I prefer it to the German language. I feel that I can express myself much simpler and much more easily in English than I can in German. German is hard. Anyone who's tried learning it, I'm a native German speaker and I find it hard. So I don't have a root system, So Botswana isn't my home. After that, we moved to South Africa until I was 18. Fine, I was there from the age of 13 to 18, but that's not my home either. Then I came to study in England. Then I went to Australia and Austria and Holland and everywhere. But I ended up back in Manchester in 2007. That's when I met my ex-partner in early 2008. And we were together until 2015. So my options when that relationship broke down was, I'm either going to move to Costa Rica or I'm going to move to Glastonbury. Because Glastonbury I had visited many, many times, because while I was living up in Manchester, I visited Stonehenge one time and I overheard a couple talking about Glastonbury. I'd never heard of Glastonbury, so I looked it up. I said, oh, that's on the way, I'll drive through. So I drove to Glastonbury, and I mean, if you know Glastonbury, the beautiful Tor, the Chalice Well, the wonderful Glastonbury Abbey ruins. It's a magical, glorious place. And when I first walked up the Tor, I had this amazing spiritual experience where for the very first time in my life, my head, without meditating or doing anything, my head was just completely quiet when I was on the top of that Tor. And that was a magical, mystical experience for me. So I absolutely love and adore Glastonbury, and I have left because I'm renting this flat in Brighton, but the flat that is in Glastonbury, I actually own that flat. What happened with that is I first moved down to Glastonbury, I rented the flat, and I rented it for a year. And I was really happy in that flat, and I loved it, and it was perfect for me, close to town, and everything's great. But I got a call from the estate agent, and they said, the landlord has changed his mind. He's selling the place and you've got 2 weeks to get out. I was like, oh my goodness. I didn't want to move. I loved the place. So I said, well, can I buy it? If he's putting it for sale, then can I buy the place? So they said, yeah, of course. I mean, he's putting it on the market. You're in there, consider it. So I bought it. With the help of my mother, thank you very much. And I scraped together the little bit of money I had saved up, and now I've got a mortgage on the property and it's mine, and I have gone back to those estate agents to rent the property out while I'm over here. Now that means that Glastonbury is my headquarters. It's always going to be my headquarters, because I'm not selling that flat. I love Glastonbury. So I'm sure I'll be back there at some point. And this is Brighton. The reason I've moved is not because I was totally dissatisfied in Glastonbury. I mean, it gave me a lot, like I just said. I had this wonderful spiritual awakening. But last year, or even the year before that, the thing when Daniel happened, when that whole thing happened, I was heartbroken. It was very difficult for me. And that winter, the last winter, winter of 2017 to about March 2018, this year, it was one of the worst winters I've been through. And I felt very depressed, and I I really struggled. And the problem was that Glastonbury is quite a small town, so there are 8,000 people there, and it's quite a small community, and I made a couple of friends, but it wasn't a huge city. So, you know, the thing with that heartbreak, I think if I was in a position where other people were interested in me, or I was in an environment where I could move on, you know, and find someone else, or you know, just have activities to do, I think I would have come out of that much quicker than I did. And Glastonbury at night kind of shuts down. There's not that much going on. So, you know, you can go to the ashram on I think on a Wednesday or Friday and do the singing, and you can go on little spiritual courses, and for that it's wonderful, and you can meet people through that. But Brighton, I visited with my sister because she was living in East Grinstead this year, and I came down here, and the first time I wasn't that impressed with it, but I came down again by myself, and it really grew on me, and I was like, there's something here. And if you go to the North Lanes in Brighton, you've got the high street of Glastonbury. In the North Lanes, it's a shopping area. You've got this high street, you've got several streets actually, which are filled with spiritual bookshops, crystal shops, shamanic shops, very new age kind of things. And the great thing about Brighton that I noticed, it's a city of individualists. It's not just a city that's gay and tolerant and, you know, unusual. It's very, a lot of individualists live here. So no one blinks an eyelid. People are creative and people are tolerant, and I mean, in the paper it says it's the happiest place to live in the UK, because obviously a lot of tourists from London come down at the weekend to just be by the seaside. It's 55 minutes by train to central London, so it's ideal. And so you've got the spiritual side of things, but then also it's a bigger city. I think about 280,000 people live here, so it's like the size of Cardiff, which is the capital of Wales. So that's a nice size. It's not too big. I mean, London is 8 million, and I can't take that. And even Bristol is millions of people, so that's very big. So I saw the spiritual stuff. I also realized that there's a huge gay community here, which doesn't hurt. Because also when I came down here, I spoke to a guy. I went to a meeting because I'm in recovery. I went to a meeting and I spoke to a guy. It was I don't know if it was a gay and lesbian meetings, but they even have those down here, which they don't have in Glastonbury because there just aren't any gay people. I mean, I'm not generalizing, but I may be generalizing to a certain extent, but the demographics of Glastonbury are young married couples with children and older people who are spiritual. It's spiritual and it's new agey, but it's not gay in any way. There's not an LGBT kind of community. And here they have both spirituality and this kind of LGBT community. So it's a much better fit in terms of myself, who I am. And to be honest, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis, but I wasn't dissatisfied with Glastonbury at all. But when I visited here, I just thought, oh, wow, there's so much more going on. There's loads of just, you know, beautiful men walking around here and beautiful women. And it's a city full of young people, and it's vibrant, and there are older people, and it's a mix. And yeah, I've already met my neighbor who lives around the corner. He's in his late 60s, and he's a lovely guy. And there are more opportunities for me to connect. And I also think that because my 37th birthday is coming up, and for me, birthdays have always been difficult times for me because I've really struggled in my life. Like, my 20s were a nightmare with addiction and living in the worst places and doing these terrible jobs where I could never afford anything. And it's been really difficult. So now, thanks to you guys, and thanks to me, and for you guys allowing me to read your charts. And the great thing is that people seem to get things out of that, and they find it useful, and that I'm doing this now, which I think is my life purpose. Like, I feel like I found the career, the work that I want to do for the rest of my life, and I absolutely love it. So I feel so grateful for that, and that has put me in a position to actually think of my birthday and to say, look, you've got 3 more years before you're 40. What is it that you want to do? And I immediately got the guidance and the message that move to Brighton. There's more going on. Get some more activity into your life. It's not like 40 is the end, but it seems like it became crystal clear that at this point in my life, I want to kind of reward myself a little bit. I have never lived by the sea. I've never been able to afford living by the sea, and it's always been a dream of mine. So I've now done that. I live by the sea, and whether I stay here 1 year and then go back to Glastonbury, because that's what I've rented this place out for 1 year, or whether I go back early because I don't like it, or whether I stay here longer, I don't know yet. But the main thing is I wanted to live by the sea. I've done something nice for myself. I feel like this is a real treat for myself because living in Australia, Australia is a beautiful country, but I was studying a master's degree. I had terrible health issues at that time. I had addiction issues. I did this degree, but I was very isolated. I never felt as alone as I did in Australia. And I lived in some of the most terrible places. I mean, I don't even want to remember some of the places I lived in. And I worked these terrible minimum wage paying jobs that were really not designed for me. And it was a really dark time. And then last year was another dark time, when the winter. And it really reminded me that, look, this is your life. This is the age you're at. It's like, do something with it. Make it the way you want it. I just got this kick in the butt kind of from Spirit, and it says, make yourself happy. Happiness is built from home. You've always wanted to live by the sea. You want a more vibrant community. Can you do it? Possibly. So I looked at the numbers. Once I start getting the rental income from the other property, I've got the estate agents on that. Hopefully they'll find someone quickly to move in there and pay rent. That'll take the financial pressure off me. I pay the rent here and I pay the mortgage, but I did the numbers, and yes, fine, I might have to tighten my belt in some areas, but I've been able to achieve a dream that I've had for a long time. And you don't know how long life is going to last. You don't know how long you're here for. And in my case, last year was so dark that I really feel, I mean, I do pray and I do meditate every day, but I don't know, I was so heartbroken. And for some reason, I just felt like this is the only chance you're ever going to get, and you've let it slip through your fingers, which I know isn't true. Don't get me wrong. This was the only chance, and you've let it slip through your fingers, and now you're done. And it was this whole weird process, and it triggered me off, and I went into therapy last year. Remember, guys, I told you about that. And I did that for 3 months, and then I healed from that, and it was a real process that's taken me a year. And now that I feel good and I'm out of that, I'm like, okay, your birthday's coming up. I really wanted to be here before my birthday. This is my birthday present to myself. And I love it. I've got the sea, I've got the community, I've got the spirituality, I've got all of the individualists here in Brighton who I'm so looking forward to meet. People who march to the beat of their own drum. That's what I loved about Glastonbury, because it was so quirky. The day I moved into Glastonbury, I saw a guy dressed in a giant rabbit suit running up the high street, and I was like, I'm home. And here I have seen similar things. In July, I came for a holiday on a week. Then I came on a Wednesday and did loads of viewings in one day. I think 13 viewings. I don't do that. I was overwhelmed and exhausted. And I looked at this place. This was one of them. I declined it and went for another one. The other one I went to, it turns out that is the one street in the whole of Brighton that doesn't have broadband internet. It's still got really super slow internet. So I paid the deposit to get the house, and then when I called my internet people to change over, they said they don't have internet there. So I lost the deposit. I couldn't go for that place because there was no internet, and my whole my whole work depends on having an internet connection. If I don't have an internet connection, I can't speak to you guys. So I couldn't take that. This place had already gone. Someone else had taken it. So I was like, hey, I'm going to have to start all over again and start viewings again. And then I got a call. No, I called the estate agents and I asked about this property. I don't know why. And the guy was like, that's so strange because the person, the tenant that we found for that property has now dropped out. You still interested in it? I said, yes, absolutely. And then they did all the checks and I passed and good credit score and da-da-da. And I've landed in this place, which I did a tour of and I absolutely adore. We'll figure out the lighting, that'll, be done. I had to figure out the hot water last night. So, we're in the early stages. And guys, if you have suggestions for how the presentations should be done, the way I can use these windows in the ocean in the best way possible, let me know. I'm open for that because with design and lighting and things, I'd appreciate your feedback. I think you can see me, but it's just a bit darker. It could be brighter than this. So yeah, so I've done this as a birthday present. I feel good here astrologically as well in terms of my astrocartography. Mercury goes through Devon and Somerset, so I feel very connected in that part of England. But Brighton, I've got something in my chart which is a grand conjunction, which is Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct in my chart. And that only happens every 20 years. And Jupiter and Saturn, they both literally, not 50 miles away or 100 miles away, but literally the lines go through Brighton and London, which is exactly vertical, like 50 minutes north from here. So there's something here. Jupiter is good luck, good fortune. Saturn is about roots and establishing something. So there's something here that is positive and that's going to help me expand and grow something. I don't know what it is yet, but there's growth. That's what Jupiter always does. So I'm trusting in the universe that whatever this year's birthday presents, this traipsing off to a different place is all about. We'll see what it's all about. But I felt like I just wanted to give you guys an explanation of why I'm here and why it suddenly happened. Because it did happen like this. And I absolutely adore Glastonbury and I may be back there and I may not. And we'll see what happens. But I've got all my pictures of the beautiful tour here. So I've brought it with me. And I've brought my flat here. So it's just about settling in here now. And yeah. Starting over in a way and making new friends. And it's really easy. The great thing about being part of a 12-step fellowship is that you can immediately plug into a community. You just go to a meeting and you meet people and you speak openly. It's a real blessing to be in recovery. I see that now. Oh, I thought something was going to fall then. So that's the reason I've moved. I hope that clarifies it. Yeah. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm enjoying it. So I'm embracing the uncertainty, which for me as a Virgo is a big step. And it shows me that I'm on the right track because I'm not afraid and I'm enjoying it. And my energy is really high here and I love it. So even the move went very well considering. And for me as an earth sign, I have moved a lot, but it's a major emotional upheaval. And you saw that I was just making videos and videos and videos and videos just to keep my mind off it. Like I even the streamed live for horoscopes for September, which are out for each sign of the zodiac, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. I did those on the day before I was moving, just to keep me occupied and keep my mind from freaking out, because moving makes me hysterical as an earth sign. It's like taking a plant and uprooting it out of the earth and then dangling it around and then replanting it in another pot. So I'm a bunch of carrots floating in the air and I really don't like that. I need to be back in the earth. And now I'm back in the earth and I've got the water here, which I've got very little of in my chart. So the water really, when I stand at the beach, I feel connected to the whole world. I mentioned this before in one of my vlogs, but when I stand at a lake, I don't get that feeling because it's a lake. it's just in my head. But with the water, because I don't know if this is the Atlantic or the English Channel, I have to look that up. But this leads to the Atlantic, and the Atlantic leads to New York and Miami and Buenos Aires and Kenya, well, not Kenya, Nairobi, no, not Nairobi, that's the capital of Kenya, Namibia and South Africa, and it's the whole Atlantic. And just when I stand at the beach, I feel connected, and that heightens my intuition, because my intuition is all about connection. So we'll see how this goes. I feel a buzz. Whereas in Glastonbury, I felt a sense of peace. And with that situation, with the heartbreak and the loss, the peace was too much. Like, I couldn't get out of my own way because there was so much quiet and peace. And it's almost like I need something to generate a new circumstance and to push me into getting my butt into gear a little bit. And that's what this energy, I think, here is kind of doing for me. Anyway, I felt guided to move. I listened to that. It is uncertain, but my guidance is there for a reason. I choose to always trust it, and that's why I've ended up here. So guys, wish me luck with this. I'm very comfortable and happy in this flat now that I've got the hot water working. I had a cold shower yesterday. It was very refreshing. I was like, my eyes were like this. But yeah, I'm starting to settle in, and it's really nice. And there's your answer. Have a wonderful, wonderful bank holiday if you're in the UK. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday if you're anywhere else. Check out some of my videos, my daily tarot readings, my weekly horoscopes, and the monthly horoscopes for your zodiac sign, and some of the other vlogs. And also, please subscribe to the channel and turn the bell on, because I've recently discovered that I can do live readings on YouTube, and I do those for people who can't afford actual full-on in-depth readings. And it's not a full reading, it's just a one card. You ask a question when I come on live, and if the bell's on, you'll be notified, so you can get your question in there. And you just ask whatever's on your mind. Am I moving? What's love look like for me in future? And I pull a card just to give you the energy that's around you, and that gives you something to go on usually. So it's a little guidance for people who don't want to have a full reading or can't, and those are fun. So please subscribe. I will speak to you soon. I will keep you posted on how things go. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you for being part of this channel. You guys have been on my journey with me from the beginning, and I love you for it. And here's to many more journeys and chapters and adventures. And I hope you guys will be there with me and join me during them. I'm really excited about this chapter of my life. And that's nice to be able to say that I'm excited about what's coming up in my life. New hope. New hope. So have a lovely, lovely day, and I'll speak to you soon.